everybody, Pastor Chris here. I hope you enjoyed your first week on our study in God's family and that you had a really good discussion. I hope that the conversation starters I provided for you were good and that you just got to know each other a little bit better. And if any of you are new, welcome. My name is Chris. I write the curriculum and I'm a pastor at Hope Community Church, and I hope you're enjoying it. Today we're talking about surviving. The title for this week is I Am a Survivor. God's family is a family of survivors. And I want you to think about this for a second. Imagine all of the events in your life that brought you to this moment right now. Imagine everything that's happened to you in this moment, in your life that's brought you to this moment right now. Maybe even easier, just imagine everything that had to happen for you to come here today. You had to drive somewhere, you had to not get sick, you had to contact somebody to be a part of this group, and if you already were a part of this group, you had to do that before. And it's just crazy when you start to think about every little thing that has to go right for our lives to be the way they are. Now, even more than that, imagine everything that had to happen in your family's history for you to just exist. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? All of the generations of people that had to live and then meet each other in weird circumstances. You know, I find it really funny personally when I think about how me and my wife met. You see, I was born in Canada, as many of you know, but my father's parents are first-generation English immigrants, and my mother's parents are first-generation Scottish immigrants. So they had to both come to Canada to meet, for my parents to meet, and then I was born in Canada, but then I lived in Florida, and I met Abby in Orlando. My wife Abby in Orlando. And Abby was born in Kenya because her parents were missionaries, and I only met her because I was volunteering at a church at that time that I didn't even go to. They just needed an extra bass player. How crazy is it that I actually met her? And I'm sure you have some of your own stories too. And then when you start to think about this stuff, it's hard to, even if you're not a Christian, it's hard to not wonder if there wasn't something else at play there, right? Some of these situations just seem crazy. So what does it mean to you when you hear the word survive or being a survivor? When I talk about being a survivor, I'm talking about God's people. And then when you look at the history of God's people, it's just, for a lack of a better word, absolutely crazy that God's people survived everything that they went through. So let's take a look. I'm going to go briefly through these things, but I'm just going to hit a bunch of highlights that just, it's amazing that God's people even made it out of these things. We'll start from the beginning and we'll go chronologically, but the first one, banished from Eden. God made humans made a mistake, we betrayed God. God kept us alive and allowed us to continue, and He tried to restore that relationship with us instead of just getting rid of us. The flood, obviously. How did we get out of that one? The Tower of Babel. Abraham's life, living in the land of his enemies constantly. Isaac surviving. Joseph being sold into slavery. Exile into Egypt, and then the exodus out of that. Judges. The whole book of Judges, about 400 years of wars and infighting in God's people, and it's terrible. If you ever want to read something really discouraging, Judges is a good one to go to because God's people keep making the same mistake and they keep living for themselves. But yeah, a miracle we survived that. Saul, not a great king. David, pretty good. Well, as far as kings go, then makes a lot of mistakes, and then the kingdom splits after that. Crazy that we survived that. Assyria destroys the northern kingdom, and then the southern kingdom gets taken over by Babylon. Babylonians let some of the Jews survive instead of killing them all. Wild. The Persian Empire then takes over. Again, Jews survive through that, being slaves. Esther becomes queen, and then she saves the Jews from being eradicated. There was actually going to be an eradication of all the Jews, because this one guy didn't like Jews. And then not in the Bible, but then you have Alexander the Great reigns and takes over Judea. So we were ruled by the Greeks for a while, then we were ruled by the Egyptians after that for a while, then ruled by Syria after that for a while, and then ruled by Rome, which, brings us into Jesus. And the amazing thing about Jesus is it unites us under God and not under a country or a nation. And then after that, of course, we would have things like Emperor Nero, who destroyed a lot of Christians. And the crazy thing is, there's much more after that. The fact that amazing people like Martin Luther continued our religion, but the fact that we're standing here today, the fact that we are still able to worship our God and we are able to survive as God's people, as God's family, is just incredible. And in fact, there are still Jews and Christians that are being persecuted every day, but one thing remains true: God protects His story, and we get to be a part of that story. So as you get into your discussion today, maybe open up with talking about how you got here. Maybe something in your life that you find pretty amazing that you survived through. And then, really think about everything that had to go right for us to be able to just be God's people here today. I hope you enjoy your discussion, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Take care. Bye.